had this wonderful show in San Francisco called Control. But I would like to ask, what is happening? I mean, is that the only important movement that's happening to bring women's art to the forefront of our thinking? Are there any other major events happening around the world?
Well, right now, and this is extremely significant, the Pompidou Center in Paris right now, it opened in June, it'll be for an entire year, is just showing only women's art from their collection. And that is significant because on the average, museum collections show 2 to maybe 7% of the entire collection is women. And so right now, this collection is all women's art. And I really think it's opening the door, and I hope, and I know it will cause a lot of change in the future for the way people perceive what is a quality museum show.
And I would say, I mean, without hearing what else is happening, it's clear the French are taking a lead in art.
Yes.
Because women's rights is clearly in the air. And as we go, in my opinion, as we go forward, we are going to see women fighting and getting more and more rights, and the French are reflecting that, maybe ahead of us, unless you can tell me there are things happening that are even more significant than the Pompidou.
That really is the most significant museum show. I mean, there was a show recently, the WAC, the Feminist Revolution in LA, which was very good. But no, there's a lot of work to be done. And, but there's a couple different organizations. Like I'm on the board of not the national organization, but the Women's Caucus for the Arts. And they're very significant in getting women's work out there and creating really powerful exhibitions. This past year at the conference, there was one on immigration. This coming year in February in Chicago, it's going to be on feminist art, and the juror is Lucy Lepard, who is one of the key feminist art critics.
Okay, and now Ruth Waters in the San Francisco Bay Area, who's one of, I think, the most knowledgeable, influential women artists, organizers.
Yes.
She told me there's a force in New York that's pulling your show, Control, to one of the world's, maybe the world center of art.
Absolutely.
So, so you think it's really going to happen?
I think it is. I think the show is going to New York, and it's very exciting. And I have to say, Ruth is absolutely amazing. One, she's my mentor, and two, it's like her experience in the arts is just, it's unsurpassed, and it's been incredible. She was on my curatorial committee for this show. And yes, so it's like, actually this was news we just received yesterday. It's in the beginning stages. It's not, not a done deal yet, but this show is going to New York.
I didn't see Control in San Francisco. I'm sorry I did not see it, but I saw the catalog, and I looked at just about every single painting in it, and just about every one of them stirred some kind of emotion in me, okay? And I could identify with so much. And I can see why New York would want to pull that show to New York, and I think that's just so wonderful.
Yeah, I do too, because it's like I always say, it's like the message is as important as the medium, and it's really key and very timely, and it needs to be shown across the country. I mean, we're hoping, I'm doing a proposal right now, the Smithsonian Museum has an exhibition program where they will travel key significant shows around the country. And so while of course this is highly competitive to get into it, it's like we're also really hoping, we're pushing it for that also. So it could not only go, of course, to New York, which is, the World Center for Art, but also all around the United States. Because I think mostly in what I call the flyover states, you know, in the Midwest, it would be really important for people to see these messages and take, you know, and glean something from it.
That catalog for control, is it available to people who could not see?
Oh, absolutely.
How can people get a copy of that catalog?
Well, actually, right now, it's like, actually, it's a really timely question because I'm doing a reorder tomorrow, but we have quite a few copies, and we have sent them to various, you know, libraries and museum collection, the museum collection libraries. So I pretty much blanketed the many places across the United States. But also, they could just contact me, and they could get a copy.
Do you have a website?
I do. My website is my name, KarenGutfreund.com.
Okay.
And my email, the same as KarenGoodfriend@yahoo.
And does this catalog cost money?
It does, unfortunately. I wish that we could just give it out, but being a nonprofit. So it's $20 for a copy.
Okay.
But of course, if they go, I could point people, if they aren't in a position where they can buy it, I could certainly point them to a library where they could go and see it.
I'd like to summarize a few things. You were the curator
Yes.
of an extremely important exhibition, Control, in San Francisco. Now, if I understand things correctly, you are working closely with a or multiple entities in New York City to move Control to New York City.
Yes.
And the tea leaves I hear is it's going to happen, and that's going to be
all systems go.
That's not only going to be a great feather in your, I hate to use cliches, but it's also going to be good for women's rights, the New York metropolitan area. It's going to be good. And then also I hear you're working to move the show to the Smithsonian, or a version of it.
Yes.
And from you, I have learned that the French are taking a lead in the promotion of women's art.
Yes.
And that should, I think, motivate some of us to
absolutely
also take a lead. Now, I'd like to go to another topic, your own art. When I look at your art, I tend to see there's always a I don't want to say always, but I often see a message. Why must you put a message?
I have to. I don't know. I don't really have like a reason beyond it's like that is what compels me to do my work. Is it always starts with a thought, a feeling. I keep a notebook with me always, and you know, write it down, because it's not. I never just go into the studio and just start slapping paint and think on a canvas and see what happens. It's like it's always almost completely formulated in my head of the message I want to say. And so, like, for instance, I know one of the pieces you liked was done. I have an anti-war series that I'm doing that I'm really want to get into a gallery.
Oh, let's bring up that photo. This one right here.
Yes.
I believe, we believe.
Yes.
And I can see Christian crosses, the Star of David, the Crescent Star, and you're telling everyone they all believe, right?
Yeah, it's that dogma of like everyone, like what's happening right now. It's each individual, you know, religion are just like pounding their head against the wall, just keep saying, we believe, we believe, we believe, this is what we believe. But when you listen and you really think about all the religious mantras, like for example, the Christian, we believe in one God, or the Islamic, there is no God but God, all of these, it's saying the same thing. But instead, we're tearing each other apart.